Hello everybody, welcome back to SwitchTop. Today, we're diving into the absolute best AAA gaming experiences you can have on Nintendo's hybrid console. These are the big-budget, heavyweight titles that prove the Switch can hang with the best of them. Whether you're playing docked or on the go, these games deliver premium experiences from start to finish. Let's jump right into it. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition takes you to a world built on the frozen bodies of two colossal titans, the Bionis and Mechonis, where organic life and mechanical beings have been at war for generations. You play as Shulk, a young engineer who gains the power to wield the Monado, a legendary blade that can cut through machines and see glimpses of the future during combat. The real-time battle system lets you control one character while AI handles the others. But the depth comes from positioning attacks, building chain attacks with your party, and using Shulk's visions to change fate by warning teammates of incoming fatal blows. The world is absolutely massive, with each area of the Titan's bodies forming distinct ecosystems you can explore freely, finding hundreds of side quests and hidden locations. This Definitive Edition completely overhauls the visuals, adds quality of life improvements like better quest tracking, and includes the epilogue story Future Connected that bridges to later games in the series, making this the best way to experience one of the greatest JRPGs ever made. The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. The game drops you into the frozen northern province of Tamriel as the Dragonborn, a prophesied hero who can absorb dragon souls and use their power through ancient shouts, just as civil war tears the land apart and dragons return after centuries of absence. The genius of Skyrim is its absolute freedom. You can ignore the main quest entirely and spend hundreds of hours joining guilds like the Assassin's Dark Brotherhood or the Mage's College of Winterhold, buying houses, crafting weapons and armor, or just exploring the wilderness, discovering caves and ruins packed with their own stories. Combat lets you dual-wield any combination of weapons, spells, or shields, with a perk system allowing you to specialize in stealth archery, heavy armor melee, destruction magic, or any hybrid build you can imagine. The Switch version includes all DLC like Dawnguard and Dragonborn, supports motion controls for aiming and lockpicking, and even has Zelda-themed gear like the Master Sword and Hylian Shield, running surprisingly well in both docked and handheld modes for a game of this scope. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined delivers a classic JRPG experience that feels carefully updated for modern play while staying true to the series' roots. The game centers on a fractured world made up of vanished islands, with exploration built around traveling between the present and the past to restore each region piece by piece. This structure gives the story a strong episodic flow, where self-contained island narratives slowly connect into a much larger mystery, keeping progression feeling purposeful and rewarding. Gameplay is firmly turn-based, but quality-of-life improvements make it smoother and more flexible on Nintendo Switch, including visible enemies, faster battle options, and smarter party control. Combat depth comes from the expanded vocation system, allowing characters to mix and match roles, combine abilities, and gradually shape unique builds that suit different strategies. Visually, the reimagined diorama-style presentation gives towns and dungeons a handcrafted look that adds charm without sacrificing clarity. Overall, it's a thoughtful blend of old-school pacing, strategic combat, and world-driven storytelling that rewards patient exploration and fans who enjoy long, methodical RPG adventures.
I think I'm done for.
Dark Souls throws you into the decaying kingdom of Lordran as an undead chosen to ring two bells of awakening. But the real story unfolds through item descriptions, environmental details, and cryptic NPC dialogue as you piece together the tragic fall of gods and the curse of undeath. The methodical combat demands patience and pattern recognition. Every enemy can kill you if you get careless, so you learn to manage your stamina for attacking, blocking, and rolling through enemy attacks with precise timing. with dozens of weapon types from quick daggers to massive ultra greatswords that completely change your playstyle. The interconnected world design is legendary, with shortcuts that loop back to previous areas, creating an intricate web where you gradually unlock faster routes. And the bonfire checkpoint system means every bit of progress feels earned when you're deep in a new area. With thousands of souls at risk, this remastered version runs at 1080p docked, and a stable frame rate includes the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, with some of the toughest bosses in the game, and supports online features for summoning help or getting invaded by other players, making it the best portable version of this brutal classic. Echoes of Wisdom flips the Zelda formula by making Princess Zelda the protagonist for the first time in a mainline game, as mysterious rifts swallow people across Hyrule, including Link himself, leaving Zelda to save a kingdom with her unique ability to create echoes, copies of objects and defeated enemies. Instead of swinging a sword, you approach every situation with creative problem-solving, summoning beds to reach high places, creating blocks of water to swim upward, or deploying echoes of monsters you've encountered to fight for you in battles. The gameplay has this wonderful experimental quality where you're constantly discovering new echo combinations. Maybe you stack trampolines to launch yourself across chasms, use wind-generating fans to push objects, or create flying tiles as platforms to navigate dangerous areas. The story sees Zelda partnering with the mysterious Tri, a being connected to the rifts, as you explore a mix of classic top-down dungeons and an overworld that encourages creative traversal with your growing echo library. The charming art style uses the Link's Awakening remake engine, but with more varied environments, and the still world mechanic lets you pause and plan your echo placements strategically. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance expands the original experience into a darker, more choice-driven JRPG that leans heavily on strategy and atmosphere. Gameplay is built around challenging turn-based combat that rewards exploiting enemy weaknesses, careful turn management, and smart party composition through demon recruitment and fusion. Negotiating with demons, customizing skills, and adapting builds to specific encounters are central to progression, making every battle feel deliberate rather than routine. Exploration takes place in a desolate, reimagined Tokyo, where open areas encourage methodical traversal, risk-reward decisions, and preparation before tough fights. The story deepens the original narrative by introducing an alternate route that reshapes key events, adds new characters, and places greater emphasis on ideological conflict between order, chaos, and humanity's survival. On Nintendo Switch, the game targets a 30 frames per second baseline, with performance remaining stable in combat while occasionally dipping during large open areas. Resolution scales dynamically to maintain performance, resulting in variable image sharpness depending on scene complexity.
What world are you trying to create? We want it back. We wish to restore that glorious world.
I never wanted to lose you to get my revenge. Then I really would be alone.
We have to keep fighting, or all the sacrifices that brought us here will have meant nothing.
The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is a landmark open-world adventure that reshapes how exploration and player freedom work in a modern action game. Set in a vast, seamless version of Hyrule, it encourages curiosity by allowing players to climb almost any surface, glide across landscapes, and approach objectives from multiple directions. Gameplay is built around a deep physics and chemistry system, where elements like fire, wind, electricity, and metal interact naturally, turning the environment itself into a puzzle-solving and combat tool. Shrines scattered across the world offer focused challenges that test logic, timing, and creativity, rewarding progress with upgrades that expand endurance and survivability. Combat emphasizes adaptability, using a wide range of weapons, shields, and abilities that require smart positioning and resource management rather than brute force. The story unfolds subtly through exploration, memories, and environmental details, following Link's journey to reclaim his lost past while uncovering the downfall of Hyrule. Instead of pushing a strict path, the game lets players define their own adventure, making discovery, experimentation, and personal choice the core of the experience on Nintendo Switch. Octopath Traveler 0 builds on the HD 2D foundation of the series while pushing its systems and storytelling in a more connected direction. The adventure begins with a custom-created protagonist whose journey is driven by loss and restoration, tying personal motivation directly into world progression. Exploration is closely linked to rebuilding a ruined town, where gathering resources, recruiting allies, and placing buildings unlock practical benefits that feed back into combat and travel. Battles remain turn-based, but feel deeper thanks to an expanded party system that allows switching between frontline and backline characters, encouraging tactical positioning and flexible team setups. The signature break and boost mechanics return, rewarding players who exploit enemy weaknesses and manage turns carefully, while new ultimate skills add a layer of long-term planning during tougher encounters. Storytelling is more unified than in earlier entries, weaving character arcs into a broader narrative about power, ambition, and recovery, even if some party members receive more focus than others.
Works like a charm. Let me. Now.
Right. That hurt.
What should I do?
Super Mario RPG blends classic JRPG structure with Mario's signature charm, offering an adventure that feels both accessible and mechanically engaging on Nintendo Switch. Gameplay is built around turn-based combat enhanced by action commands, where well-timed button presses during attacks and defenses increase damage or reduce incoming hits, keeping battles active rather than purely menu-driven. Party members each bring distinct abilities, encouraging smart team composition and light strategy without overwhelming complexity. Exploration mixes traditional RPG progression with platforming elements, letting players move through colorful environments, uncover secrets, and interact with a cast of quirky characters that give the world personality beyond the usual Mushroom Kingdom formula. The story stands out by placing Mario alongside unlikely allies, including Bowser, in a quest that expands the universe with new villains and motivations, rather than focusing solely on rescuing Peach. Quality of life improvements and refined presentation make progression smoother, while optional challenges add depth for experienced players. Dynasty Warriors Origins delivers a refreshed take on large-scale Musou combat, focusing on more deliberate action and battlefield awareness while preserving the series' signature sense of scale. Players step into the role of a lone warrior caught in the chaos of the Three Kingdoms era, fighting alongside legendary generals across vast battlefields packed with hundreds of enemies. Combat feels more skill-driven than before, blending fast combo chains with parries, well-timed dodges, and powerful special techniques that reward precision rather than pure button mashing. Strategic elements play a stronger role, as capturing key points, supporting allied officers, and managing enemy morale can shift the flow of each encounter. Progression is tied to weapon variety and upgrades that subtly change playstyles, encouraging experimentation with different approaches to combat. The story draws from classic historical conflicts, presenting major events and rivalries through cinematic battles that emphasize atmosphere over heavy exposition. Overall, it balances spectacle and control, offering intense action backed by light strategy, making each battle feel purposeful and dynamic on Nintendo Switch 2.
The enemy soldiers are not impressive on their own, but their combined effort must not be underestimated.
Victory is within our grasp. Everyone, keep going. There we go. Let's get serious.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the ultimate kart racing experience on Switch, and honestly, one of the best multiplayer games, period. You're racing across 48 different tracks with a huge roster of Nintendo characters, each with their own stats and handling. The gameplay is pure arcade racing, where you drift around corners to build boost, grab items like shells and bananas to attack opponents, and learn every shortcut to shave seconds off your time. What I love is how accessible it is. Anyone can pick up a controller and have fun, but mastering the advanced techniques like fire hopping and optimal racing lines takes real skill. The battle mode brings back classic arenas where you pop balloons or play capture the flag, and it's genuinely chaotic fun. Online play is smooth. Local multiplayer supports up to 4 players in split screen, and the DLC added even more tracks. Whether you're playing casually with friends or grinding to perfect your times in time trials, this game just never gets old. Super Mario Party Jamboree takes the classic board game formula and injects it with fresh energy and tons of new content. You're rolling dice, moving across colorful boards, collecting stars, and playing minigames that test everything from reflexes to strategy to teamwork. The boards themselves are way more dynamic than previous entries, with events that completely change the layout and multiple paths to victory. The minigame collection is massive, with over 110 different games that range from rhythm challenges to racing to puzzle solving, and they're all designed so everyone has a fair shot regardless of skill level. What really makes Jamboree shine is the variety of modes beyond the standard board game. There's a cooperative mode where you team up against bosses, rhythm games that feel like their own separate experience, and sports challenges. The motion controls work surprisingly well when needed, and the game supports up to 20 players in certain modes, which is insane for a party game. It's the kind of game where every session creates memorable moments.
Dragon Quest XI's is a massive JRPG that perfectly balances traditional turn-based combat with modern quality-of-life features. You play as the Luminary, a hero marked by destiny who has to gather a party of companions and save the world from an ancient evil. The combat system lets you control your party in turn-based battles, where positioning matters. You can see enemies on the field before fighting, and there's a skill tree system that lets you customize each character's abilities. The story spans multiple continents, with each area having its own culture and problems to solve. And while it follows classic hero's journey beats, the character writing and plot twists genuinely hit hard emotionally. What makes the S version special for Switch is you can switch between 3D graphics and a retro 2D mode that completely changes the visual style. There's a massive orchestral soundtrack and additional story content that adds 10+ hours focusing on your party members. The game respects your time with fast travel and adjustable difficulty.
Go on! You can do it!
Super Mario Odyssey is a 3D platforming masterpiece that gives you these huge sandbox kingdoms to explore with movement mechanics that feel absolutely incredible. You're traveling across different worlds with Cappy, a sentient hat that lets you throw him to attack enemies, use him as a platform, and most importantly, capture enemies and objects to use their abilities. The capture mechanic is genius because suddenly you're controlling a T-Rex to smash through obstacles, becoming a bolt of electricity to travel through wires, or possessing a Goomba to stack with others and reach high places. Each kingdom has completely different themes, from a realistic city with normal-sized humans to a food-themed world to a frozen landscape. And they're packed with power moons, which are the collectibles that progress the story. The movement is so smooth and responsive that just running and jumping around feels fun. And the game constantly introduces new ideas and challenges without ever feeling repetitive. There's light platforming for casual players, but also incredibly difficult post-game challenges. Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D Remake brings the games that started the entire JRPG genre into the modern era with that gorgeous HD 2D visual style that blends pixel art with 3D environments and lighting. These are the foundation of Dragon Quest, where you're exploring a fantasy world, fighting monsters in turn-based combat, leveling up your character, and ultimately facing down the Dragon Lord. The first game is a solo adventure that's surprisingly atmospheric and concise, where every decision about equipment and exploration matters because resources are limited. Dragon Quest II expands everything by adding party members, a much larger world to explore, and more complex dungeons that require actual puzzle solving and planning. The remake modernizes the experience with quality of life improvements like auto battle options, a speed-up function, and improved UI while keeping the core gameplay intact. The orchestral arrangements of the classic music are beautiful, and the visual style makes these old-school worlds feel alive in a way the originals couldn't. It's pure dungeon crawling and exploration without hand-holding, perfect for experiencing gaming history enhanced.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade delivers a cinematic action RPG experience that blends real-time combat with strategic depth, making it a standout AAA title on Nintendo Switch. 2. Gameplay revolves around fast, fluid battles, where basic attacks build ATB gauges used to unleash abilities, magic, and items, encouraging constant character switching and smart resource management, rather than simple button mashing. Each party member plays distinctly, pushing players to adapt their tactics depending on enemy behavior and encounter design. The story reimagines the Midgar chapter with a stronger narrative focus, expanding character relationships and world building while balancing intense action with quieter emotional moments. Exploration mixes linear story sections with side activities that deepen understanding of the city and its people, keeping pacing varied and engaging. On the technical side, the game targets a stable 30 frames per second and runs it up to 1080p in docked mode, using upscaling techniques, maintaining sharp visuals, detailed character models, and impressive lighting effects.
No freaking way!
Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is an enormous, open-world JRPG with one of the most ambitious combat systems and emotionally complex stories in the genre. You're controlling two groups of soldiers from warring nations who are forced to work together, and the story explores themes of war, mortality, and what it means to live a meaningful life when your lifespan is limited to 10 years. The combat happens in real time, where you're positioning your character, executing arts, which are special abilities on cooldowns, building up a talent art meter, and coordinating with your party to execute chain attacks that can deal massive damage. There are 7 party members who can all be customized with different classes that change their weapons and abilities, and you can mix and match to create unique builds. The world is absolutely massive, with 5 main regions that are seamlessly connected, and you're exploring everything from mechanical wastelands to lush forests to giant creatures that serve as landmarks. The side quest system actually ties into character development and world building instead of feeling like filler, and there's easily 100+ hours of content. Monster Hunter Rise is an action game about hunting giant monsters, carving materials from them, and crafting better gear to hunt even bigger monsters in this incredibly satisfying gameplay loop. You choose from 14 different weapon types that each play like their own character class. The Greatsword is about positioning and landing huge charged hits. Dual Blades is fast, aggressive combat. The bow lets you fight from range, and each weapon has depth that takes hours to master. The core gameplay is accepting quests to hunt specific monsters, tracking them across maps, and engaging in these intense 15 to 20-minute battles where you're learning attack patterns, breaking specific body parts for better loot, and managing your items and stamina. Rise introduces the Wire Bug, which gives you mobility options to zip around the environment and adds new Silkbind attacks for each weapon that completely change combat flow. You also get a Palamute dog companion that you can ride for faster travel, and a Palico cat that helps in combat. The endgame is where it really shines, with difficult variations of monsters and layered armor customization.
Over there.
Trails in the Sky First Chapter is a story-driven JRPG that prioritizes world building and character development above everything else. And it's the beginning of one of gaming's most interconnected series. You're following Estelle and Joshua, 2 young bracers, which are basically adventurers for hire, who take on quests to help people. And what starts as a simple journey across the country evolves into a conspiracy that threatens the entire kingdom. The combat is turn-based tactical, where positioning on a grid matters. You build up craft points to use special abilities,
and combining magic spells called arts requires planning because of casting times. What makes this game special is the writing. Every NPC has unique dialogue that changes as the story progresses. The towns feel alive with their own problems and personalities, and the main cast develops naturally through hours of dialogue and events. The story is slow-paced and focuses on smaller personal stakes before building to larger conflicts, and the ending sets up plot threads that continue across multiple games. It's text-heavy with tons of dialogue, but if you love deep lore and character relationships, this is unforgettable.
Here we go!
I'll be your opponent.
Tears of the Kingdom takes everything that made Breath of the Wild revolutionary and expands it with building mechanics and sky islands that completely transform how you interact with the world. You're exploring Hyrule again, but now there are floating islands in the sky to discover and an entire underground area called the Depths that's dark and mysterious. The game gives you 4 main abilities. Ultra Hand lets you grab objects and fuse them together to build vehicles, bridges, and contraptions. Fuse lets you combine weapons and materials to create unique equipment. Ascend lets you swim up through ceilings, and Recall reverses time for objects. These abilities enable creative problem solving, where there's never just one solution to puzzles or combat encounters. You can build flying machines to reach sky islands, create war machines to fight enemy camps, or just mess around building elaborate structures. The story involves Zelda disappearing and mysterious ruins appearing, and as you progress, you're uncovering the ancient history of Hyrule through memories and environmental storytelling. The world is massive, with hundreds of shrines, caves to explore, side quests with actual storylines, and secrets hidden everywhere. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition is a sci-fi open-world RPG that drops you on an alien planet called Mira after humanity escapes a destroyed Earth. You're creating a custom character who joins Blade, an organization tasked with exploring this massive world and searching for the Lifehold, which contains humanity's survivors in stasis. The combat is real-time, where you're auto-attacking while positioning yourself and using arts that have cooldowns, and you build up tension points to activate your overdrive mode for increased damage. What absolutely sets this game apart is the scale. Mira is gigantic, with 5 continents filled with dangerous creatures, hidden caves, and verticality that rewards exploration. About 30 hours in, you unlock Skells, which are giant mechs you can pilot, and completely change how you traverse and fight, because now you're flying across the map and battling kaiju-sized enemies. The game has this incredible sense of discovery, where you're constantly finding new areas and landmarks, and there's a probe system where you plant data collectors to reveal the map and generate revenue.
Target in sight! Shadow strike!
Assault hammer!
Nice! Move in and do some damage!
Flame grenade! Almost there! Your strength!
Persona 3 Reload is a modern reimagining of a classic JRPG that tightly blends turn-based combat, dungeon exploration, and life simulation into a cohesive experience on Nintendo Switch 2. Gameplay revolves around managing daily school life, building social links, and strengthening personas during the day, then exploring the ever-shifting Tower of Tartarus at night to battle shadows using a weakness-based combat system that rewards smart targeting and party synergy. Combat feels streamlined and responsive, with clear visual feedback and refined mechanics that make strategy more readable without losing depth. The story follows a group of students confronting themes of time, loss, and identity, unfolding gradually through character interactions and major narrative events that give emotional weight to both combat and social choices. Presentation is fully updated with modern visuals, stylish menus, and improved pacing that make progression smoother for new and returning players. On the technical side, the game targets 1080p resolution in docked play, with a stable 30 FPS baseline and an optional performance mode on Switch 2 that prioritizes smoother 60 FPS gameplay in TV mode, delivering a polished and emotionally driven JRPG experience.
Pay attention next time!
Enemy down! Keep that up, Iori!
What's next?
In this situation,
Metroid Dread is a 2D action game that perfects the Metroidvania formula with incredibly tight controls and an atmosphere that keeps you on edge. You're playing as Samus, investigating a mysterious transmission on planet ZDR, and immediately things go wrong when you're attacked by a Chozo warrior and lose your abilities. The gameplay is all about exploration, where you're constantly finding new power-ups, like the Morph Ball, missiles, and beam upgrades that let you access previously blocked areas. And backtracking, with new abilities, reveals shortcuts and secrets everywhere. Combat is fast and responsive, with a new melee counter system that lets you parry enemy attacks for an instant kill. And boss fights are these intense pattern recognition challenges that feel amazing when you finally beat them. The MMI sections are where the dread comes in. These are invincible robots that hunt you through specific zones, and you have to use stealth and speed to avoid them, because if they catch you, it's basically instant death. The world design is interconnected brilliantly, where everything loops back on itself, and there's environmental storytelling through the ruins and creatures. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a tactical RPG that combines strategic, grid-based battles with a school life sim where you're teaching students and building an army. You're a mercenary who becomes a professor at the Officers Academy and chooses to lead one of three houses, the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, or Golden Deer. And this choice completely changes the story because each house has different students, perspectives, and eventually opposing goals in a continent-wide war. The gameplay splits between exploring the monastery, where you talk to students, build support relationships, and participate in activities, and the battle missions, where you're moving units on a grid and using weapon advantages and terrain to win. Combat has permadeath as an option, where if a unit dies, they're gone forever, which makes every decision matter. And you're training students in different weapon types and skills to create unique builds. The calendar system means you have limited weeks to prepare your students before the next story mission, so you're choosing between tutoring, battles for experience, or building relationships. The story's second half involves a time skip where war breaks out and your former students might be enemies depending on your house choice.
Good idea.
Octopath Traveler II is a turn-based JRPG with 8 different protagonists, each with their own complete storyline that you can tackle in any order. You're picking a starting character and then recruiting the other 7 as you explore the world, and each traveler has unique path actions that let them interact with NPCs differently. The merchant can buy items from anyone, the dancer can allure people to follow them, the thief can steal, and these abilities open up different solutions to quests. The combat uses a break and boost system, where enemies have shield points protecting specific weaknesses, and you break their shields by hitting those weaknesses to stun them and deal massive damage, while boost points let you power up your attacks for crucial turns. What makes the game engaging is how the 8 stories intersect with shared themes, and some characters appearing in others' tales. Plus, there are crossed path stories that pair characters together for unique content. The HD 2D art style makes everything gorgeous, with pixel characters in 3D environments with dramatic lighting. And the job system lets you give characters secondary classes to create powerful combinations.
What's our plan of attack? I'll run you through!
Prepare yourself. My blade sings. It's my turn. I'll cut you down.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a 2D platformer that completely reinvents the classic Mario formula with creative level design and the Wonder Flower mechanic.
You're running through the Flower Kingdom, trying to stop Bowser, who's fused with a castle. And you can play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, and various Toads, each with the same abilities, so it's purely preference. The core platforming is smooth and responsive, with running, jumping, and power-ups like the elephant transformation that lets you use your trunk to attack and spray water. But the Wonder Flowers are what make every level unique. When you grab a Wonder Flower, the entire level transforms. Pipes start moving and singing, the screen rotates, you turn into a Goomba horde, stampeding bulls chase you, or reality just breaks in weird ways. And it's different for every single stage. The badge system lets you equip abilities like a grappling hook, auto super mushroom, or a parachute cap that completely change how you approach levels. And you're finding Wonder Seeds, which are the main collectible.
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition delivers a dense, open-world action RPG experience on Nintendo Switch 2, preserving the scale and ambition that define Night City. Players step into the role of V, a customizable mercenary navigating a futuristic metropolis shaped by corporate power, cybernetic enhancement, and personal choice. Gameplay blends first-person shooting, melee combat, stealth, and deep hacking systems, supported by RPG mechanics like skill trees, cyberware upgrades, and branching questlines that react to how situations are handled. Combat rewards flexible playstyles, whether focusing on raw firepower, smart hacking, or stealth-based approaches. The story is heavily character-driven, exploring identity, ambition, and survival through main missions and richly written side content that often rivals the core narrative in depth. On the technical side, the Switch 2 version offers multiple visual modes, targeting a stable 30 frames per second at up to 1080p in docked play, alongside a performance-focused option that pushes higher frame rates with dynamic resolution scaling and DLSS upscaling.
Scavs are still crawling. Clean it up, clean it out. You don't want to be bringing the target out under fire, and definitely don't want a slug in your back.
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition delivers a dense, open-world action RPG experience on Nintendo Switch 2, preserving the scale and ambition that define Night City. Players step into the role of V, a customizable mercenary navigating a futuristic metropolis shaped by corporate power, cybernetic enhancement, and personal choice. Gameplay blends first-person shooting, melee combat, stealth, and deep hacking systems, supported by RPG mechanics like skill trees, cyberware upgrades, and branching questlines that react to how situations are handled. Combat rewards flexible playstyles, whether focusing on raw firepower, smart hacking, or stealth-based approaches. The story is heavily character-driven, exploring identity, ambition, and survival through main missions and richly written side content that often rivals the core narrative in depth. On the technical side, the Switch 2 version offers multiple visual modes, targeting a stable 30 frames per second at up to 1080p in docked play, alongside a performance-focused option that pushes higher frame rates with dynamic resolution scaling and DLSS upscaling.
Does this suit you?
Ready yourself!
You'll see no harm! I shall protect you!
Unicorn Overlord is a tactical RPG from Vanillaware that combines real-time strategy with deep unit customization and a story about reclaiming your kingdom. You're playing as Elaine, a prince who was exiled as a child when the Empire invaded, and now you're gathering an army to liberate the continent and restore your kingdom. The combat system is unique, where you're deploying squads of up to 6 units onto a battlefield, and they move and fight automatically in real time. But you set up their tactics beforehand by programming conditions like use healing when HP is below 50%, or prioritize enemy mages. So the strategy is in the preparation. You're recruiting over 60 different characters, including knights, mages, archers, and beast units, and each can be assigned to squads and given specific roles. Plus, there's a class system where units can promote into advanced classes. Between battles, you're liberating towns, which unlocks new shops and facilities, managing your army's equipment and skills, and experiencing story scenes that develop the characters and political intrigue. Donkey Kong Bananza is a high-energy 3D action platformer that leans heavily into destruction, freedom, and physical interaction, making it one of the most distinctive experiences on Nintendo Switch 2. Gameplay is built around Donkey Kong's raw strength, allowing players to punch through terrain, dig underground routes, rip chunks of the environment apart, and use them creatively for traversal or combat. Levels are designed with verticality and multiple paths in mind, rewarding experimentation rather than forcing linear progression. Movement feels weighty yet responsive, blending classic platforming elements like climbing and rolling with more aggressive, momentum-based actions. The story provides a light but effective framework, following DK and Pauline as they race rival forces toward a mysterious power hidden deep below the surface, keeping the focus firmly on exploration and spectacle. Technically, the game targets smooth performance, aiming for 60 frames per second with dynamic resolution scaling that hovers around 1080p in docked play and remains sharp in handheld mode.
Something isn't working! Crow's got some moves! Enemy is tough, and electric attacks won't work on it.
And here are the top 30 best AAA games on Nintendo Switch. From sprawling open worlds to strategic JRPGs and hack-and-slash action, these titles prove the Switch is an absolute powerhouse for premium gaming experiences. What's your favorite AAA game on Switch? Did I miss any that deserve to be on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo Switch content.